Greetings all, welcome back to Eye of the Beholder, where we review Dungeons & Dragons miniatures created by WOTC and WizKids from 2003 through 2023. With this video, we begin a review of the inhabitants of the Feywild, a realm of awe-inspiring natural beauty, where colors are more vivid, smells more intense, and time is mutable. It's also infused with magic, which is why most inhabitants have some arcane powers or abilities. The Feywild is the ancestral home of the elven race. Zybilna is the alias of the Archfey Igwilv, the Witch Queen. Ruler of the demiplane of Prismere, she is an archmage of incredible power and author of many magical tomes. She is described as either a ravishing beauty or a hideous crone, depending on her mood.
Hermione, from 2021's The Wild Beyond the Witchlight set, catches her somewhere in between. Her hair has gone from raven-colored to white and reaches almost to the ground. The pose is a bit hard to decipher. Is she greeting the PCs or about to cast a devastating spell at them? Clad in an off-the-shoulder, floor-length black gown with matching evening gloves, WizKids does a halfway decent job on her facial features. Finally, if you've watched my constructs videos, you'll know we have these. The two versions of her infamous cauldron. Score for the Zybilna mini: Paint 14, Pose 15, Playability 13, Pizzazz 20, for a score of 62.
Arcturia is half Fey, half human, who has transformed herself via magic into a beauty with sliff-like wings and fine blue scales. Mad as a hatter, though, who tries to kill lesser mages for their magic and mate with those more powerful than her. I'm pretty sure there's a metaphor in there somewhere.
Her miniature is beautiful. From 2019's Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage set, she is clad in a golden dress with her shoulders covered in a short jacket while wearing her signature hat. I really like how the gently curved stand attaches to the back between the wings. This gives the impression that she is fluttering in place, hummingbird-like. Not particularly playable, but cool nonetheless, so score is Paint 21, Pose 23, Playability 11, Pizzazz 18, for a score of 73.
Banshee are bards from hell, using music to attack their victims with various spell-like abilities. Devoting to sowing fear and grief, they are treacherous creatures only bowing to those stronger than them. Fun fact, the flutes also double as blowguns.
WotC gives us our only Banshee, called a Banshee Warrior, in 2009's Monster Manual Dangerous Delve set. The pose is unusual. It appears to be charging toward its foes while playing its flute. Colors are vivid, brass breastplate over a blue tunic, complete with long brown cloak and golden headdress. Wait a minute, I just had a thought. It's not charging, it's dancing, twirling on one leg while its cloak billows around it. Score: Paint 23, Pose 18, Playability 13, Pizzazz 20, for a score of 74.
Get ready for cuteness overload. First appearing in the OG Fiend Folio, the Al Mirage is basically a big bunny with a unicorn horn, which is about a 3 on the weirdness scale for the Fiend Folio beasties. Timid and non-combative, they can be tamed and make excellent pets and or familiars.
We get our only Al Mirage mini in 2020's Fangs and Talons set. For such a small mini, the paint is pretty good. Brown and white fur offsetting the bone-colored horn, posed up on its hind legs, ears laid flat along its head, and a doleful look on its face. This thing is just too cute for words. Score: Paint 14, Pose 13, Playability 12, Pizzazz 13, for a score of 52.
Boggles are mischievous little creatures that delight in popping up on the prime materia plane to prank the big people. They do this via the ability to create dimension doors at will. Absolute cowards when cornered, they will resort to begging and whining to be released. Fun fact, boggles can secrete an oil from their skin that either causes extreme slipperiness or extreme stickiness.
For some reason, WizKids decided we needed 2 Boggle Minis within the span of a year. One in 2020's Fangs and Talons with a black base, and the one with a clear base a year later in the Wild Beyond the Witchlight set. They are basically the same, purple skin with white eyes and fangs on both. Expression-wise, the Fangs and Talons Boggle looks upset, while the Witchlight version just seems bemused. Score: Paint 13, Pose 13, Playability 12, Pizzazz 10, for a score of 48.
Briganocks are small, gentle creatures whose most striking feature is their spirit manifests outside of their body, appearing as a small bulb that, despite its size, can illuminate a 60 by 60 area. They spend most of their time mining wish stones, which they refine into gems for decoration or trade.
Our only Briganock Mini also comes from 2020's Fangs and Talons. Naturally called a Briganock Miner, he looks the part with a pickaxe over his shoulder. Again, excellent detailing for such a small mini. We even get his whiskers. And of course, the outer spirit is perfectly realized in a small translucent blue bulb floating just behind the creature. Having the PCs run into a mining party of Briganocks would be fun. Score: Paint 16, Pose 15, Playability 17, Pizzazz 19, for a score of 67.
The Blink Dog is a highly intelligent canine that's been around since the OG Monster Manual. Like most canines, they have excellent hearing and the ability to track by scent, but they are also intelligent enough to have their own language. But of course, the most amazing thing about them is the ability to blink in and out of phase, making them difficult to hit, as well as the ability to travel via dimension door at will. Fun fact, Blink Dogs and Displacer Beasts hate each other and will attack one another on sight.
Well, WOTC never got around to it, WizKids gives us our first Blink Dog Mini in 2015's Rage of Demons set. And, considering the Blink Dog's ability, we finally get an invisible version that actually makes sense and is playable. The Mini itself matches the book art to the T, tan body with black claws and spurs on the back of the legs. Pose has it moving with purpose, running towards its target with tail trailing behind. Great work on the head and face as well. Score: Paint 22, Pose 25, Playability 25, Pizzazz 25, for a score of 97. Six years later, we get our second Blink Dog in 2021's The Wild Beyond the Witchlight set, and it's just as cool as the first, but for a different reason. Pose has it literally leaping out of an open dimension door to attack its prey. The detailing on the half of the body we can see matches the previous mini: tawny fur, black claws and spurs, and a slightly demonic face. The translucent blue dimension door is cool too, ragged around the edges but clear in the middle. Score: Paint 20, Pose 25, Playability 23, Pizzazz 25, for a score of 93.
Changelings are a Fey race with similar abilities to doppelgangers, able to change their appearance at will. They will often use this ability to gain status and wealth as they flip through various personas to better their lot in life. In their true form, they are certainly humanoid, but with somewhat faded features, with pale gray skin and white hair.
We get our first changeling, called a Changeling Rogue, in 2007's Unhallowed set. This changeling is caught in its natural form. Note the gray face with barely there features and the white hair. Dressed in blacks and reds, he is posed as if about to go on the attack, short sword in hand. I like the way his cloak seems to be swirling around the lower legs as well. Score: Paint 16, Pose 14, Playability 15, Pizzazz 18, for a score of 63. 13 years later, WizKids gives us this changeling in 2020's Eberron Rising from the Last War set. In this mini, we catch the changeling mid-change, going from his natural state to a black man. Nice touch having the right hand black while his left, hidden behind his back, is still gray. The change in the hairstyle is pretty cool too. Posed as if he is calmly having a conversation while shifting, the clothing also conveys a sense of civility and grace. Score: Paint 15, Pose 12, Playability 13, Pizzazz 21, for a score of 61. Two years later, we get our final Changeling mini in 2022's Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse. This mini is a perfect match from the image in the book, right down to the shadowing around the eyes and the clasp holding his cloak to his shoulders. Although he doesn't seem to be doing much pose-wise, I like it and would probably pick this one to use should I need one for my game. Score: Paint 17, Pose 12, Playability 19, Pizzazz 22, for a score of 70.
Darklings were cursed millennia ago, doomed to absorb light, rapidly aging when exposed to it. As one imagines, they have both dark vision and blind sight, but see very poorly in bright light. Generally appearing as small, gray, gnome-like creatures, as they age, they transform into the taller, fairer Darkling elders. Fun fact, when a Darkling dies, all the light it has absorbed in its lifetime is released in a burst, blinding and damaging those caught in the blast.
We get two Darklings in 2018's Waterdeep Dragon Heist set, a common with a short sword and an uncommon with sword and dagger. Garbed in brown clothing under a black robe and hood, they appear to be skulking up on this target as they move stealthily down an alley, something I would imagine isn't easy with cloven hooves instead of feet. Score for both: Paint 12, Pose 14, Playability 14, Pizzazz 13, for a score of 53. Three years later, we get this much more active Darkling mini in 2021's The Wild Beyond the Witchlight set. Pose conveys him springing from an ambush position, cloak flying out behind as he brings twin daggers to bear on his target. Clad in basically the same clothing as the previous mini, we do get a bit of difference in the cloven feet. Here they are black. Score: Paint 12, Pose 15, Playability 13, Pizzazz 14, for a score of 54. From the same set, we get our only Darkling Elder. Apparently, the hooves turn to feet at the change. Joking aside, this is a very nicely detailed miniature. Note the weave in the cloak as well as the hint of armor under said cloak. The best part is the excellent facial detail. Even somewhat covered by the cloak, the expressive eyes are captivating. I like how the left arm is raised with palm inward facing as if gesturing to his foe, "Come at me, bro." Score: Paint 18, Pose 18, Playability 15, Pizzazz 20, for a score of 71.
The Dolphin Delighter is equivalent to your more mundane dolphins, except better in every way. Chaotic good defenders of the oceans of the Feywild, they are often found in the company of like-minded sea elves and titans. Capable of teleportation through the waves, they can even teleport one creature with them if they choose to do so.
Our only Dolphin Delighter mini comes from 2022's Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse set. This is such a cool mini. Leaping out of the waters with his body supported by a beautiful translucent stand fashioned as a wave. The swirls and curlicues on its pinkish body are clearly visible, as is the small eyes and slightly upturned mouth in a wry grin. I know, all dolphins have this, but I think this one means it. I'm not sure about the playability, though. Score: Paint 17, Pose 25, Playability 11, Pizzazz 23, for a score of 76.
No creature epitomizes the Feywild like the Dryad, generally appearing as beautiful maidens with skin like soft wood and hair of leaves and vines. They are protectors of the forest and will defend it either using womanly wiles or deadly force, whatever method they deem best at the time. Bonded to a single tree, they will die if the tree is cut down or even if they are forced to stray too far from it.
Our first dryad, called a Black Woods Dryad, comes from 2007's Desert of Desolation set. Bigger and scarier than your come hither types, she seems primed for combat, slightly crouched with extremely elongated arms ready to strike. The monochrome brown of the mini doesn't help with the detail work, but it's there, particularly in the vines that curl around its arms and legs. Score: Paint 11, Pose 15, Playability 13, Pizzazz 13, for a score of 52. WizKids' first Dryad, from 2016's Monster Menagerie set, isn't particularly good. The detailing is very rough on this one, at least what you can make out from the monochrome green paint job on it. I see what they were going for: the long green hair running down her back, the length of exposed leg. They just didn't pull it off. Score: Paint 7, Pose 10, Playability 12, Pizzazz 7, for a score of 36. Next up is this Conclave Dryad from 2018's Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica set. Better. Pose standing her ground, feet firmly set while thrusting her spear forward. To me, the pose looks more defensive than offensive. Lightly armored with naught but a bit of steel on her forward shoulder and thighs. But do dryads wear metal at all? Or for that matter, use a metal spear? Minor quibble, I know, but the spear should have a wooden staff and the armor should be bark or leather. Score: Paint 12, Pose 14, Playability 14, Pizzazz 13, for a score of 53. Also from the Ravnica set is this named NPCs called Trostani Selesnya Guildmaster. This is the capstone miniature of the set. Although it appears to be 3 women, it is actually a single creature. Appearing to be growing from separate branches, each woman has distinctive features and abilities that would be too spoiler of me to go into. A stunning, if not particularly playable mini. I'm not really sure how to score it, but here goes. Paint 22, Pose 20, Playability 8, Pizzazz 21, for a score of 71. The final Dryad mini to me is most representative when I think Dryad. From incongruously enough 2021 Snowbound set, she is seen striding confidently forward, hand on heart as if trying to convey peace and serenity. Again, detailing isn't great, which is frustrating because I know WizKids can do pretty. Call me misogynistic, but it is too much to ask for a comely Dryad. Score: Paint 11, Pose 15, Playability 15, Pizzazz 12, for a score of 53.
And that's it for now. Our next video will be tackling basically the exact opposite of the beautiful dryads as we take a trip through the dark recesses of the Feywild as we review the Hag miniatures. Until then, thanks as always for watching. Please feel free to like or comment. I am the Beholder, signing off.